And it looks like we are live now. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Thor's Hidden Gym podcast. I'm joined with Buddy Corley here, and I'm Spencer Scott Holmes. And ironically, we tried this once in the car. We're like, you know what? We're driving down to LA. We're going to have a lot of time to kill. Let's just put the phone up and we'll just record. It'll be kind of just an old school, very simple kind of podcast. But, we'll just talk. You got nothing else to do but kill time. And lo and behold, like many or car podcasts I've ever tried, something seems to kind of fail, and it's just like, the audio wasn't just there, and of course it was dark, and you can put studio lights on as you're driving, like, officer, don't mind me, I got a podcast to film right here, and by the way, you want to be on it, we can make it like cops.
See, we should have done that. We should have got the ring lights and it's been all good to go. Have lights blasting in our face so we can't see the freeway in front of us. It'd been fine.
I think we should have got full-on studio lights, so they're like 300 watters for like film camera. Just glowing out the side of the car as you're driving down the freeway. Can't see a thing.
What's funny too is I really thought we touched on a lot of topics, man. I thought we did some good stuff, and then nothing worked.
Yeah, no, it was one of those ones I listened back to, and it's like, it was fine for a moment, then it kind of goes in and out, and then we also lost service going up the grapevine, so it kind of killed a lot of it, but yeah, so whatever. We came back in. We're doing it now. We're going full live. We're going to finally get this going because we've only been talking about it for like 6+ months. We keep saying that, like, hey, we should just get together, talk all the workout philosophies, and have a good time, as well as share some experiences that we've had in the last couple months, too, that have been very motivational and very fun in the fitness journey.
Yeah, man, it's cool because it's one of those things. Like when I moved back home, I was like, "We got to get this going. We should do this. I want to podcast more with you." And then that was back in May, and you helped me move. And then it just never came to fruition after that point. So I'm glad we're finally getting to actually knock something out.
I know we did the one podcast. So has nothing to do with Thor's Hidden Gym, but we did the one with I guess it was an Analog Legends one where you were on it for a brief moment, but we kind of had internet issues on Wes's side, so it kind of came crashing down in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
all in all, buddy, how are your workouts going so far?
well, the workout's been good. I've been really good. Staying consistent is the big thing. Missed a day on Monday. When I found out Greg passed, I didn't want to go in. I couldn't, so I just pushed everything back a day.
And Greg, you gotta explain to the people that Greg was your good buddy from the gym. You've been working out with him for years.
Yeah. So met a guy named Greg 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know. Great guy, one of the most positive, happy, always outgoing people in the world. And then got that call at like 11 o'clock on Sunday night. Like, just like, what the hell's going on? When I realized I had 3 calls, and not a good call to get, and found out the bad news. Greg passed away, and it was tough going back to the gym that next morning. So I didn't want to, and then I went Tuesday at nighttime because I was like, I'll avoid seeing anybody that I know. But it worked out still pretty good. Now I'm back in routine now. So, but yeah, workout's been going good, all in. Got my bench over 315. Little sloppy on the first one. Second one was really good. But that was the goal, was 315. And I had told myself, like, once I hit 315, I'm not going to try any heavier. I'm just going to not do bench. I'm just going to dip down. Well, not interested in that. Let's go for 405 now, baby.
Oh, yeah. Well, we went down to CT Fletcher's Iron Wars just a couple of weeks ago, and that was when we tested the initial podcast. And going down there, boy, was like the motivational experience no matter what, because we went in there just to kind of spectate and so on like that. Lo and behold, we realized that, like, anybody could have just jumped in and worked out. Like, it wasn't set up like, oh, hey, you have to compete against everybody else, and if you're not benching over 500, don't even worry about it. It was like, no, it's just you step up and you just kind of in a sense, you're competing with yourself and everybody's there to cheer you on. It's like, oh, that's so badass.
Yeah, like we got to go down there the month prior, which was amazing. Like that was literally a dream come true for us both. Got to meet the legend, became friends with his son after that point. And dude, like I would have never guessed, oh yeah, like after that, Samson's gonna be training me to get my bench up better. But dude, like you said, man, we went down there basically full spectator mode, got to watch it, got to meet some cool people, made some good connections. And I actually messaged T, the guy who won the Rep King, and
Mm-hmm.
he was so pumped for me, and it made me feel pretty good. And I was like, yeah, man, like now I'm gonna shoot for 405 next year. He goes, fuck that, dude, you got 455. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it my
I
best
think
for sure.
so.
But hey, but he brought up a good point, man. And he was telling me, like, he's like, dude, if you set your goal that you want to hit 405, that's precisely what you'll hit and nothing more. Shoot higher. So I'm gonna shoot higher.
Yeah, well, it's like that one that I think it was back in, if I'm not mistaken, like the 50s. It was like when the first time somebody benched over 500, and they didn't think that was possible. It was one of those ones that was like, no, 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 that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then literally one guy did it, and then it was like 3 weeks later, like four other people did because they knew it was possible now. So that's how they were able to do it, you know. And then I think Reg Park, he also was able to, Mr. Universe was able to bench over 500 as well too, and so on like that. And it just kind of flowed out that way. And that's the thing is, I think by being down there and just watching everybody kind of do it in person, you know, it's more than just seeing a video, more than just seeing, pictures and so on like that. It really made a difference just to see the guys right in action right there. Because, you know, we're like front row and you're just hanging out in the gym. So you just mingle left and right. People are casually working out in the corner, doing some leg presses, doing, some curls. And it was just like, I just love that. It was just like, and then while somebody else is just benching, 500 on over there, and another guy's deadlifting what was it, 825? Was that what he was?
Stupid, bud.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Just it was just crazy amount. Yeah, I know. I came to the conclusion. I'm like, I want to compete in that, but I think I'm gonna stick to the strict curls. I think that'll be my
Yeah.
main
I'll,
goal to.
dude, I'll stick to the bench, the bench and the strict curls. Matt can keep the deadlifts all he wants. I'm good on that.
Yeah, the deadlift. I don't remember. I love a good deadlift, but yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those ones. If I have to be working myself up to some of those levels, it's very intense, very interesting.
Well, and what I liked about it, man, is honestly being down there because we knew CT and Samson and Mark, but like, dude, we went in there kind of raw. Like, we didn't know what really to expect, didn't know anybody, and I loved that right away. Mark's like, "Hey, meet this person, this person, this person, this person." Really made it welcoming, made it easy to just connect and meet people. But dude, like you mentioned, like the people casually working out, my confidence was pretty high because you were the one who pointed out, you're like, dude, all these guys think that you're in it to win this thing, you're in it to compete. And I was like, oh shit, yeah. And I was feeling pretty good. So like when we were grabbing the curl machine, I remember like people were like building up to it, and I curled the stack I think 8 times, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm ready. Let's put this in, put me in now. And then James goes and grabs it with one arm and does it. I was like, I'll just go fuck myself.
Yeah, it was like that was all it was. Yeah, just everybody's here like curling 200, thinking, oh yeah, here we go. Well, on the machine, yeah, he comes up and curls 200 of a singular arm. You're like, yep, that's the end of that. I'm
Yeah.
like, boy, I thought my curl at 180 was cool, but that's nothing impressive there.
Yeah, it was a blast though, man, and I can't wait. And that's the thing I was thinking about is like I regret a little bit for sure because had we known how it worked, I would have been full competitive, competing. Sorry, but like, dude, being able to ask some of those people some questions and get some advice from them, get to meet some legends, some of our favorites. Getting to at one point, man, when we were sitting there watching the deadlifts, it was really a trip. Like you pointed out, you're like, dude, where else were you ever going to go that we're going to be watching this? And then Flex Wheeler's right to our left. And I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
there's
exactly. It's
Flex.
like, yeah, just turns like, oh, there's Flex Wheeler over there just hanging
Yeah.
out, and then we went over, said hello, and everything like that. And it was just like, oh, that was cool.
And I was such a fanboy of Midwest Kong, and he's
Yep.
genuinely the funniest motherfucker alive. Like, he's hilarious.
Yeah, he was totally fun to hang out with too, and it was just cool how it was just like once again it was so casual. Like it wasn't like one of those ones where you felt like you were taking up their time or something like that, or you're kind of in the way. It was like no, they were just there hanging out, supporting CT, and just enjoying the whole journey themselves.
hmm And I think I really think, man, now that I'm gonna, because you're always down and committed. Now that I'm committing to doing this a little bit more consistently with you, man, I think that we should start to like videotape some of our progress more, make some cheesy videos too,
I think
and
so.
just go full brother with it, dude.
No, I think so. I know this is kind of the first Thor's Hidden Gym video in a good moment. Like anything, it's like there's only so much time for so many things, but I think we definitely do because I love making the workout videos. But really, I think what makes them even better is if you do have somebody else to do it with. Just like anything else in life, everything's more fun when you got literally a buddy.
Yeah. And like honestly, like yes, I'm gonna continue to try to get my bench up higher and higher. I'm gonna take a couple weeks off from pushing heavier, but that heavy at least. But dude, once I go to try to do it again, like I'm gonna need a spot. So
Yeah, get there, gotta get the spot going and so on like that. Work the numbers up and everything. As I said, I kind of want to give it the go with the strict curl contest because I think with especially the combination of pull ups, building up towards that, and then just strict curl itself. It'd be interesting to try that one out because, as I said, you watch some of the people there and you feel like, I could kind of fit in right in between. Might not be the strongest person there, but I maybe in that mid range. You know what I mean?
well, and you're deceptively strong, dude. Like when because that was on. We've only worked out literally like twice before, I think, until we went down to CT's gym. And I remember like when we were doing the push downs, I was just like, holy shit, like Spence's got some power for sure. And on the curls too, like I was like, God damn, man, like because it's deceptive, dude. Like I think you can give it a run for their money for sure. Especially because it's what I loved about it, man, is it's competing with yourself. It's competing to get
Mm-hmm.
your best numbers, not just hey, I'll be better than this person. It's really competing against you.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the cool thing there. And then, yeah, it's like with myself, I feel for my, I guess you would say body weight and so on like that, I feel like the lifts are pretty good all in all, you know. Um, Especially when, yeah, because you mentioned the tricep press down thing, and that was one of the ones when we went down the train with CT Fletcher. He literally started us off. He's like, hey, let's just do this competitional tricep press downs. And it was so cool the way it was set up because I've never seen this in any other gym where there was two stations that are literally facing each other. So you have to look the other guy in the eyes as you're doing the tricep press downs. And, he set us up. And there was a little bit of a handicap. I think you had maybe two more plates than I did or so, just because of, our different weight scale. But, yeah, we
And
went at it. What was
let
it?
the record show you beat me in that.
Yeah, after like 300 or so reps, it felt like, because we just went down every single time CT called out, like rep, rep, rep. And then we just went for days, and there'd be like a brief pause, and then bam, 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 bam. And it was pretty much a last man standing, and you just had to get to that point where you just get that primal rage going and so on like that. And boy, yeah, it just got to that point where it's just, I remember like once you finally went out, I almost felt like I think I could still have done a few more if I really had to.
Well, I'm sort of psyching myself up too because like I could tell you were tired, and in my head I was like, I'm fucking done. Like I'm dead. We've been working out for like 5 minutes, and we still have like another hour and a half to go. And I'm just sitting there going like, holy shit. And I'm like looking at you, goes like, this guy's not stopping, and I'm gonna die. And then like I got to the point where like I heard CT looked at you, and he's just like, buddy's tired too, and I was like, I'm more than tired, sir. But I think I only got like two or three more, and I was like, fuck. And I was like, dude. And then we did try. God, what did he have us do right immediately afterwards? To had us doing the close grip bench. Man,
Oh yeah, then we did that right afterwards, and that was almost like the one. He's like, "Wait a second, that's good. That's gonna drain even more energy. Hold on, we got the gauntlet next for you. Like, let's forget the close grip bench, you know."
well, we still did more push downs too on the other bar a bit after that. But
I
dude, the
think that
fact that
was
we
I
did,
think that was after the gauntlet, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. He had us do a lot. Like he let us work out forever with him, and I was like, I'm not gonna say no.
No, yeah, we were there for almost like 3 hours working out, just all kinds of stuff. And then the gauntlet for if anybody wants to know what that is. And that's the one, if you bring it up to the people that do know about, they go, oh, the dreaded gauntlet and whatnot. It is pretty much you're doing a tricep skull crushers with the dumbbells instead, which it's made so you don't like kill yourself. Because if you had a bar, think about it, like you would literally be skull crushing yourself. But you take 25, 20, 15s, 10s, and 5s, line them up, and then you go 20 reps each and go down from 25 down to 5. And, by about 15, well, by the time you hit 15s, it's like, oh, the arms are toast, you
Yeah.
know? And then it's amazing how heavy those 5s start to feel. And then once you thought that was it, no, you climb back up that ladder. And you go back to 25 again at 20 reps per each one. And yeah, that about took everything to do it. But me and Buddy both we went the distance just like Rocky would have.
Well, dude, I'll never forget because I watched you do it, and I was just like, okay, I think I can beat Spencer on this. Like, this isn't gonna be that heavy. It's fucking 10 pounds, 15 pounds. And I did the 25s, no problem. I did the 20s, no problems. By the time I finished those 15s, though, I was just like, what is happening?
Just
And I'll never
arms are
forget that.
shot and pumped as the
Oh,
max.
and I felt something I'd never experienced ever on that day, because I don't know if you remember, but when I grabbed the 10s, the moment I tried to push them down to pull them down the first time, my left arm just gave out for that quick second. It popped me right in the cheekbone, and it wasn't hard or nothing like that. It was only from like maybe like this far up, but still enough to be like, oh, like hello, like
Yeah.
that was more intense than those smelling salts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is I started getting that point where I'm like, I just made sure that it fell behind my head every single time just for that whole reason. Because after a
Hmm.
while, it's like it's almost like you can get them up and everything like that, but it's like they instantly just like crash back down. It's like there is no negative, the negative has gone, and at a point they start to look sloppy after a while too. They're not pretty reps by the time you're about halfway plus through that. They start to turn into some weird form of a mix mash close grip press into a pull over into like a tricep kick. There's so much stuff going on because you have to like utilize any form of the body, any muscle just to like make it work.
Well, dude, and I think the worst part was like I loved that after we did it. I loved that like he let us just like bullshit with them, and like he taught us the strict curls, which was cool. Mark came
Yeah.
in, the Russian guy was there, and then we blasted our buys as if we needed to do anything more at that point. But I'll never forget that feeling of like trying to drive home, like while we are still in Signal Hill. I remember just being like, hold like that first turn, like right when we're leaving the gym. I just remember being like, "Oh my god, like my arms are dead. I can't turn the fucking steering wheel." And I was just like, "Dude, this is gonna be. We got a 6 hour drive.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. This is
and my
where we
arms
need
aren't
we need an
working.
auto driving Tesla right now.
Right? Just put, just let Jesus take the wheel, baby.
Jesus Musk, take the wheel.
Yeah, we got to learn to obey. And I do apologize. I just got to say, I got called out for to stop texting, so I got to make sure I stop texting. Eyes up, eyes up.
Yeah, one of those ones. But yeah, no, just that experience was beyond amazing. That led us into the Iron Wars, and just seeing everybody lift kind of in person is so cool because one, I've just been kind of in that zone where like I've trained kind of by myself for like a good decade. There used to be the olden days where you'd go to the gym and there would be all the gang there, and you'd all show up at 10 o'clock and so on, and you have a bunch of stuff people to work out with every single day, and that was always super fun. And then everybody kind of starts splitting their different directions, and now it's like you see people in the gym, you say hi, bye, all that kind of stuff, but it's not like I didn't have that same camaraderie that I felt like when I was down there at Iron Addicts, where it just felt like you just felt instantly like, oh, I felt like this is where I belong. This is great. Everybody's so enthusiastic and so helpful and friendly as all can be.
Yeah. And that really was what tripped me out at Iron Wars. Even like, dude, like we definitely walked. We stood out a little bit for sure, but we walked right in, and everybody just was like, "What's up, man? How's it going, dude? Are you doing this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Yeah. And dude, those smelling salts are intense. I tried it out. It's fun.
Nice.
I
I,
still got to
well,
get those to you.
I know I've been wanting to try those out for years, and I know that like in California, of course, just like anything, it's like you can't just order that freely. You have to go. It's not like I don't think it's one of those ones. It's not like it's illegal. It's just you can't like sell it. Kind of weird things like bear mace, and there's a bunch of strange stuff that just California just doesn't want you to. They don't want you to have anything that's make you turn up the speed a little bit. I guess turn up the power.
Freedom.
Yeah, your freedom. Let your freedom flag fly. You know what I mean? One of those things. But yeah. And then during the Iron Wars and seeing all the great lifting and seeing all the competitions from straight up great deadlifts to there was a last man standing one that was ridiculous too. They put 500 pounds on the bar and a bunch of the dudes just circled, bum 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 bum, just one rep, one rep, one rep, and then when one guy's like, I can't do it anymore, boom, he's out. And then next thing you know, there was only about 3 guys left, and they're like, let's throw on like 565. And they're like, now 565 is not enough. Throw on, I think they went to 615, like, something about ballpark like that. And then one of the dudes kind of wasn't able to go any further. And then it was 2 guys, Matt and Debo, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And Debo was like, Matt was already a monster because he just did like 840 or whatever the heck it was, earlier in the night. So like I almost gave him a little bit of leeway there because of how much he had to lift. But then Debo came up and man, he lifted it and it just looked like it was nothing. It looked like he was picking up like a box of Kleenex almost. It was crazy.
Like he was breaking a sweat at all. And I give
No.
that guy props too, selfishly, because like that dude has been messaging me like every time I put, because I take the my douchey gym pictures just to, like for my like motivation and to keep me going, my comparisons and whatnot. And that dude's always like just like, hey, keep going, brother, you're killing it, you're doing good. I'm just like, oh, thank you.
There you go. Yeah. No, he once again, everybody down there was so motivational and so fun. But yeah, I mean, they went for literally like 8 minutes. I think I have the whole thing on video, and it's like 8 minutes. I think that might be about the 565 point or 615, but just
8 minutes is
circles.
about six more than I normally last, so
Yeah, so it's crazy, and then and then of course they had all the different benches and so on like that. So from just heavy lifting to taking the 225 and having everybody see how many reps they can blast off with that, and that's Midwest Kong's big one, is that what did he have a couple of years ago? 83?
87 is the world record.
87, there we go. 87 was the world record, and then so far there, who the highest was
Well, T won it with T hit 47.
61, 47. Okay, 47. I got all
Yeah.
these numbers off. There was a lot of numbers going on throughout the night. It was a it was a
Yeah.
handful of weeks ago, so you know how it kind of goes. But yeah, just watching that and so on, and bench has never been my like strongest. I like bench, don't get me wrong. But it's like once I kind of go there, I'm like 225 would probably be like my good like hanging out spot, and that's about as far as I would be going. Not saying you couldn't, but that's why I always kind of stuck to the pull-ups and everything like that and the dips, because I'm like, I feel like I could do those pretty darn decent, and confident with that.
And I got to say, man, I'm going to take a little humble brag here for a sec. But speaking of pull-ups, I can get three now,
Nice.
unassisted.
Well,
So
the way I look at it though is because once again, how much do you weigh?
a lot.
Yeah. Well, at the
You
moment,
know,
two
so
ninety five, and it's not a bad thing. That's a
yeah,
good thing. But this is what I always kind of say is like you think about that. One, that would be like me. I'm only like 168 right now or whatever. So that's pretty much means I would have to put on like 125 extra pounds. And if I could pull off 3 reps with that, I would probably be pretty darn impressed with myself. Vice versa. The other one is would you go up to the pull down machine and just slap like 295 on that for your first starting weight? No, you know what I mean? But that's pretty much what you're doing with pull ups.
hmm
You're pretty much just getting up there and being like 295, let's do it.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why I always
So
feel like even just a couple reps on there, it's like technically you're lifting a copious amount of weight. So picture it more like yeah, you're getting more pull ups, but picture it like you do pull downs at 295. That's almost like the equivalent of like what you're doing there. I know it's a little bit different, but you know.
yeah, it's a lot of weight. It's really weird because I just finished week 7, so I got 5 more weeks of Samson's routine, and then it'll be back to cutting season. But
Yeah.
until then, it's bulking season, brother.
Yeah. I had the weirdest thing because I was going for full bulk and I was getting close. I was getting like to just about 180, but then I think I got a little bit too much carb overload because I was utilizing still the carnivore diet, but to get some extra calories in, I was just making some thick shakes with literally like a half gallon, a half and half. The Ronnie Coleman weight gainer, which tastes amazing, mixes well and delivers like almost like 186 grams of carbs. But what I think was happening is I think I was having too much carbs. I was having about 300 a day or so, which some people that's like nothing. That's like half of what they would take in. But I think it's just because my body wasn't so used to it. It didn't make a difference for like the first couple of months, but in like the last month and a half or something like that, it started just like kicking in where I think it was just swelling up on like kind of like my joints and nerves and everything like that. So it started to make my arms go numb when I laid down at night, but not when I laid on my arms, like when I laid on my back. The most bizarre thing. Because yeah, if you lay on your side and you lay on your arm like and it goes numb like that, that happens once in a blue moon. I remember the very first time it happened, I woke up in the middle of the night and my arm was just swinging there like it was like, oh my god, my arm is dead. It has died in the middle of the night. What has happened? And like 25 minutes later, it finally gets life again. You're like. but like now it's like every day I go to sleep, it's just like, yep, there it is. And and the reason I kind of still think it is the carb is because I kind of minus them down for a bit, and then like I had kind of a big carb meal, and then all of a sudden my left arm kind of went numb again at night. I'm like, there it is. So I think I'm just gonna have to go back on that carnivore diet and just oh boy, I have to go back on it, but whatever. Go back to the straight meat for the most part. You know what I mean, and just hit it really hard. Throw in a little bit of vegetables here and there, but I don't worry too much about them. As long as I prioritize, the good red meat, and then alternatives of some fish, some pork. If I feel like it, chicken, if that just happens to be available. A lot of times you kind of, I always say sometimes you got to kind of buy whatever's kind of there. Like some days there's just not a good cut of meat in the store, so.
Yeah, and that's like this diet's been kind of tripping me up because like I'm not used to eating this much food for sure because I spent so long trying to like cut or maintain. And so, it's been, I think it's only been like 3 months that I've been like intentionally bulking. And I remember like when I first started getting like serious with it, I remember just seeing the weight just skyrocket. And I was like, holy shit, I don't know if this is good. Like I've gained 17 pounds in like a month and a half. And Greg's just like, well, yeah, that's actually really good considering what you're doing. I was like, well, okay. And then I remember thinking like, well, maybe I'll get a second opinion. So I reached out to Samson about it. He's like, well, yeah, man, you're gonna gain weight because you're going for this. And I was like, all right, cool. So I think it's just one of those things that like self-consciously in my head, I'm like, oh, well, because I spent so long doing the opposite. But I feel great. I have no issues. Honestly, I feel better than I've ever felt before. And I really think a lot of it too, and you and I have touched about this before, but I think a lot of it is like, it's all mental, it's a lot of it's placebo, but I think a lot of the reason why I feel better than I ever have is one, I'm more active than I've ever been before, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a
At
huge
least when it
difference.
comes to weight training. And then I actually have a goal that I'm working towards, and that makes a hell of a difference.
No, I think the goals they're almost the most important thing to have, and it's that kind of thing. Like even with beyond just working out, you want to just kind of have goals in life. Like, and a lot of times I
Mhm.
call it like you want to have a project. If you don't have a project, you have no ending goal to get to, And I look at the same way like when I made comic books and something like that. Like I can't just draw to draw, but if I knew that like, hey, I'm going to draw an entire 24-page comic book, there's my goal right there. I literally, you go through each of the pages and you finally get to the end and you edit it and get it up ready for print and all that stuff, and boom, you finish the goal, and then you're kind of on to the next one. And I look at working out as that kind of same way, and it's really like the number one best way to set goals for like everything in life, because the way you train in the gym, is almost like how you can train anything else. Is you just kind of look at it like, oh, I gotta get the reps in, gotta build up my numbers, gotta get more proficient in everything, keep track on like my diet. It's kind of pans out the same way with everything else in life.
And it takes a lot of time for sure to like make sure I enter everything in my fitness pal and my macros and whatnot. But like honestly, the way I look at it is like obviously I don't want to balloon up to like 330 pounds again, and I'm not gonna like just go, oh, I'm dirty bulking, brother, and then load up with Burger King and Taco Bell and pizza all the damn time. But dude, I'm burning off a lot too. Now I'll tell you that last like 2 weeks before, not I think it was about the last like 8 or 9, 10, maybe 10 days before we went to Iron Wars. You talk about it's all being mental, right? Like I just remember I was eating so much food. Like each day I was eating about 5 to 6 thousand calories, and each day I
Nice.
was just like, I just don't want to be small. I don't want to look small over there. And I kept thinking that because it was really in my head. I was like, I can't. I don't want to look small next to these dudes. Like I gotta hit. Like I want to do good. I want to be able to lift this weight. And then I I remember when we were talking to James, I was like, yeah, God, I've never felt so small until I met some of you guys. He's like, how do you think Spencer feels? And I was like, yeah,
I
yeah,
know, because like when I'm down there, I probably was like one of the smaller fella.
you were, and you're not a small guy.
Yeah, it's that one where it's just like, yeah, you go well down there. Well, everybody's real. The one thing I will say though is this is where you were generally taller than most of the guys down there. There was a few like Matt who was felt like he was 6'7". He probably wasn't really that high, but he had like that. He felt like a wrestler size.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys, it's like they might be real wide and real buff and everything like that, but it's like, oh, they're only like maybe 5'8" or something like that, 5'9". They hung out around there, so it made you kind of topple over a handful of them, which kind of gives like that extra like, physique.
Well, I think Matt and James are the only ones that were taller than me.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah,
there wasn't much, you know. I mean, it was even like when we're standing next to Flex, you know. I mean, he probably was about my height,
yeah.
maybe 1 inch taller, but that was about it,
Well, he's
you
an old
know.
man now.
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, well, a lot of those they always say that is actually like ironically kind of like the average bodybuilder height is like 5'9". Like Arnold and Lou Ferrigno are kind of like the rarities where they're like really tall, especially Lou,
Yeah,
because
Lou's
like
really tall.
because he's 6'5", and I remember back I met Lou at the very first Comic Con I ever went to. It was like, "There's Lou Ferrigno." I just ran over. I didn't think anything of it. It was like I gotta go see Lou, and I remember he was still, it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I can't remember by this point, but he was still, as buff as all can be and whatnot. I was like, man, I love you from all the pumping iron and all the working out and all that stuff. Blah, 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 blah. You just kind of batter on. And, you shook my hand. He's like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? He's like, keep it up. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. But yeah, he still was impressively tall, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Like that's a guy that I would love to meet one day. And that's the dude that I think would be super cool. Like when we went to the Fit Expo, like they had those massive lines for the Trend Twins and for which I don't know
Jay
what trend
Cutler.
means. Do you? But um,
If we would have asked the twins, they would have both known, I bet.
did you ever
They seem,
watch any of their stuff?
yeah, we watched some of it, remember?
That's right. That's right. They're so funny.
Yeah.
But I remember like just like looking at their line and like I asked that kid in line, I was like, "How long was their line?" He was like, "Oh, it was like 2 hours." I was like, "Hmm." But like, and then the Jay Cutler one, I was like, "That'd be cool to see him." I think we did the right thing. We're like, "Yeah, I'm happy to see him." Like, I don't need to wait in
Yeah.
a 2 hour line to meet Jay Cutler. But like, if like Lou Ferrigno was there or Arnold, dude, I'd wait in a line for sure.
Yeah, that would kind of change it a bit there. I mean, sometimes that one's like, I would love to meet Jay Cutler, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to wait 2 hours in line. Well, hell, we got to meet Sean Ray. We didn't have to wait in line at all. I mean, I feel like that's just as good. I love Sean so much. So I was like, yeah, I'm more excited actually to see Sean Ray or even Robbie Robinson and so on. They had a bunch of legends there, of course, along with CT and Samson and everything like that. And speaking of the Fit Expo, going into that thing was almost kind of like it kind of blew my mind because I'm so used to the way that Comic Cons are run and everything like that, and that makes you kind of feel like that's what all conventions are sort of in that same structure. You just
Mhm.
change the formula, whatever you're selling, but there. Compared to Comic Con, like so. The perfect example is you go to Comic Con and you were going to meet somebody and whatnot like that. You pretty much have to, especially nowadays. It's easy. You're spending either 50 to like $100+ just to meet the person. Like that's it. You're gonna get up.
Mhm.
If you're lucky, you get a handshake, a photo, and maybe an autograph picture, and like 2 words. That you probably, hopefully, don't insult them in those 2 words somehow, some way. Don't say something stupid. And
Mhm.
then it's like, boop, on to the next person. Where here is just like everybody's just like, yeah, you just like stood in line. There you go. Get your picture with them. Here's an autograph. You ready to go? I was like, oh, that's bad. It's like nobody's charging money and all this stuff. It's like, what? I mean, like
Mhm.
even like like the Comic Cons. I always feel like you get those people that are like, I mean, I hate to sort of say it, but kind of like C actors. Like they had like one good role like in the '80s, and now they're milking that till the end of time. And they probably haven't been anything else since then. But they're still gonna have those pictures on the wall. Remember this movie? Yeah, I bet you do. Come on by. I'll autograph that VHS. $100. I am not getting another job ever.
Sure. Dude, I saw like I've been to a lot of those wrestling conventions, and they just rake you over the coals for that cash. But I remember it was at the Stockton Con, and I met Sting. Like I jumped in Sting's line right away. Like I was like, "That's the first one, first priority," because he had the biggest line there by far.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Nash had a good sized line too. But I was like, "I already paid to meet Nash. I'm meeting Sting, doing this." But I remember I'm sitting there, and yeah, I think I spent more to meet Nash again and Sting and to get a picture and to say hey for a little bit than I did to like for that whole weekend at the LA Fit Expo. They charge so much for the pictures, but I remember I'm in Kevin Nash's line and waiting for him, and I see some lady over to the side who she was in The Mandalorian. I know that much, and I only know that I never saw the show, but I only know that because she has like a picture with like her character, and I just remember thinking like she obviously wasn't a big character because nobody's in her line, and she kept like just like looking at the wrestler lines, looking so annoyed. And I remember in her head, she's like, "Oh, they're here for that fake wrestling shit." It's like, yeah, and
Yeah.
nobody knows who you are. Like, I feel bad for saying it, but it's just like, dude, like,
Well,
sorry.
that's been kind of my issue with Comic Cons in the last couple of years is that they kind of have jammed so many different things in there that it kind of jacks up, like in a sense, everybody's demographic because there's like I'm the kind of person who actually likes the wide variety of stuff. Like I'm cool. I'm like, oh, I like animation, I like comics, I like wrestling, I like movies, all that kind of thing. But there's a lot of people, they'll go in there for one thing and one thing alone, and it kind of jacks up for like especially the indie sales because so many times you're in there selling books and whatnot, and the fact that there's all these people that are like, oh, I'm not into comics, you're like, it's called a Comic-Con, and it's like, and I mean I've heard that so many times that like it almost becomes kind of like funny, but like it's sort of not, because it's like if I'm coming to a Comic-Con to sell comic books, I kind of want there to be a demographic that really wants to read. And that's what I kind of break it down as, is like there's readers and non-readers. And you're never really going to sell a book to somebody who doesn't read. It'd be like selling a car to somebody who doesn't drive. They may think it looks cool, but what are they going to really do with it? And that's how I sort of look at it. And sometimes it gets to that point where it's like, I feel like I'd be better off at a flea market. Like, I think the booth fee would be probably like 1/8 the price, and I would probably have just as many people that would come by that would be interested in a comic book as I am here at the Comic-Con, because the comics are 5% and the margin's so spread out. So, and like it's like that lady, like the Mandalorian, whoever the heck she was in there, where she needs to technically be at is like a sci-fi convention. Then she'll have her target audience, but it's the pot split so much that some people are like, who the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what's funny, because you mentioned Sean Ray. Like, I don't know as much like the old school bodybuilders and stuff like that, because like outside of like honestly, the bodybuilding's never been as much of my thing. Like, I like the powerlifting, like to watch
Mm-hmm.
it. Obviously, I'm not going to try to go pro with that stuff, but well, maybe, but no, I'm not. But I remember like I felt so bad because I just did the arm, like the holding the arm thing out with the mutant things, and like he was there and he's like, hey, do you want to get a picture? And I didn't know. I was like, my arms were like so fried at that point, and I was like, yeah, dude, Spence, get a picture, bud. Like, you're like, oh, that's Sean Ray. I was like, yeah.
Well, it's like because we walked past it. I didn't even put two and two together that like he was at the mutant like supplements booth. I just thought he was gonna have his own like second. It was like, oh yeah, I forgot. He's one of the sponsors of this and so on like that. And it all kind of clicked together in a second.
Yeah, apparently Kelly Muscle was there too, but I didn't see him.
I didn't. He wasn't on the guest list. I'll say that. So
No, I
I'll
guess he was at one of the booths. I guess he owns a supplement company, so he was just at his booth doing stuff. I didn't notice that.
oh, I'm kind of bummed out then. I would have been excited to meet him.
Same.
I would have waited in line for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Dude,
yeah,
speaking of that, man, I have to say, like, I was so jacked up, and I didn't realize it until we left. Like, because we were walking around doing all this stuff a lot. I had no clue until we actually like got into the car just how like fired up I was on all that pre-workout and caffeine and creatine and stuff. It was all hitting because we were
yeah.
walking around the whole time. I didn't really notice or know. And then the moment that we like sat down in the car, I was just like, oh my God, like my eyes were just all over the place. That
Well,
was that was crazy.
that's the thing is like for anybody who's never been to a fitness expo, pretty much what you do is you just go down all the lines. Of course, you get to meet old bodybuilders and new ones too, and of course they have influencers nowadays, and of course you get powerlifters and all sorts of other neat stuff there. But beyond that, there's all the supplement companies, and every single one of them is pretty much giving out free swag, which is once again something you never get at Comic Cons. Is free. The word free doesn't exist at Comic Cons. Let's be honest. Everything's got a price on it. But here they just give stuff out like nobody's business. Like, and I remember at Iron Wars the day before, James was telling us, he's like, okay, the first thing you guys need to do is once you get back in your car, literally dump out your bags of all your stuff and just go in there because you're just going to load up on stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. So we emptied out our bags. Me and Buddy both got our backpacks on as we go in there. I mean, and before we even entered there, we're literally, down at the, what was it? The LA Coliseum? Is that where it took place at?
No, it's a crypto.com arena, formerly the
Yeah,
Staples Center.
yeah, formerly Staples Center. And before we even cross the street, there's like two girls with like Red Bull backpacks on. They're like, "Hey, do you want a Red Bull?" It's like, "Hell yeah, I want a Red Bull!" Like, you know what I mean? That was just the start. And then next thing you know, we're going down the lines and we're just like shoving things in the bag. Like, I don't care what it is, just here it is: energy drinks, protein bars, weird snacks, pretzel thing. I don't care. Vegan thing, it's free. I'll take it. Can't say no to free.
Once I got home and I was starting to clean out the stuff and like actually look at what we got, there is some of the stuff where I'm just like, yeah, I'm never gonna eat this. Like it was like a protein stew. I was like, probably won't eat that one. And there's some weird stuff. There's like chickpea protein. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah,
But
it's
dude,
probably not.
so I think one of the funniest things that I couldn't believe it. I was like, of course, this is my luck that I get caught. But I love we're in that line with the protein bars. So they're giving away free protein bars. I was like, hell yeah, brother. And then I love how like I saw the dude behind me just reach over like behind their booth because nobody's there and just grabs a couple and throws them in his bag. And I was like, oh, I asked the guy, oh, are you allowed to just do that? And he goes, they're gonna be free anyways. And I was like, oh, in that case. So I reach over, I'll grab you like 6 or whatever it was, and I throw them in your backpack. And then the moment that I grab some for myself, like the girl walks around the corner, goes, "Sir," and I was like, "Oh, can I just grab these instead of waiting in line?" She goes, "No, you can't. That's why there's a line." And I was like, "Okay." And then she like made me put them all back, and I was like, "Damn it! Of course I'm the one that gets caught doing this."
Caught with your hand in the literal like protein pack cookie jar.
Did you try the protein popcorn that we got?
I don't know if I got one of those to tell you the truth. I don't remember the popcorn.
Yeah, it was on one of the side aisles. I grabbed like 5%. Those ones where you can just grab stuff. So I grabbed like 5 or 6
Yeah,
bags.
I know which ones you're talking about. Yes, I did.
How
I
is
mean,
it?
I think it was okay. I don't think there was a whole lot of protein in it. I think it was just like
Yeah.
sprinkled on top. It was pretty much regular popcorn, because that's the thing
Dude,
is there's a lot of those supplements there where it's like they're probably not that bad, but you're like you look at their normal price, you're like I'm not gonna pay for that. Like I hate to
yeah,
start
like
saying like the ones that really stood out. Remember there was ones like people were selling the liquid egg protein where like okay so it's a liquid egg like you could literally already buy this in the store but it's almost like they just put some flavoring in it and then they were selling it for like ridiculous price. It was like
$80.
yeah, it was like $80 for like 2 gallons, and I'm like, just including this California bird flu thing going on right now. Normal
Mm.
prices, you could generally just walk in and for like I don't know, maybe $10 get a gallon or something like that, and yeah, it's like. It's this, and I just put protein powder in it. Boom, there you go. I have the same thing, but actually mine has more protein now.
Hmm.
And it probably tastes even better. Like I couldn't get like that was one of those ones like they are conning people who have no idea what they're buying for that one.
I still think the Psycho Farm was by far the best pre-workout that we had though, and I'm glad we got
Yeah,
them for sure.
yeah, that was a good because that was one of the few ones we bought, and of course got some free little like to go packs from them too. But I kid you not, like okay, we probably paid what $38 I think it was to get the ticket to go in the door.
Hmm.
And realistically, from all the energy drinks and pre-workout and all this stuff we got, it was at least probably more than that worth in free shaker bottles and all that kind of stuff. Like if you had to go out and buy all that stuff, even at like maybe like a discounted price, it still would be like 50, 60 plus bucks worth of things. Let alone you get to meet all the guys for free, unlike a Comic Con that would have cost you $100 to meet Sean Ray. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's just it. Like, like yeah, we paid the $40 to get in, but then it was like, cool, you're gonna get all this free stuff, and you're gonna get the experience, and you're gonna meet some cool people, and you're gonna be able to watch the symposiums. Like, dude, it was well worth it.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. I was like, it really, once again, we almost put the Comic Con to shame. It felt like, man, this is so much more dialed in, and you're just getting all kinds of stuff, and there's all sorts of things going on there. There's little contests and whatnot. Of course, they had some of the pull-up bars and whatnot. And of course, about every third row, there's some form of military, fire, police. They're really trying to get people to like, hey, if you want to be working out, you know where you need to be working out. The Marines, come here, do your pull-up test.
Dude, I liked how like they when we walked by, like, hey, big guy going to pull-ups? No, nope.
On any normal week, I totally would have been like, yeah, I want to come up and do that. But that was like the one week where I'm like, man, my shoulder's been really like killing me. It's just like, and
Yeah.
pull-ups sound like they're not going to be the right choice of action. That was why the strict curl I think was fine because I could pretty much take my shoulders totally out of it. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't bother me. But yeah, just the overwhelming amount of free junk and all the free, because a lot of times they're just giving out free, servings of everything. So you're just popping fucking pre-workout, you're popping energy drinks, you're popping, BCAAs and all sorts of stuff there. And, as you're saying, like by the time we got in the car, we're just like wired. And I remember just like the next day, like when I woke up, I literally ate and then I went back to bed for like 4 more hours. And I was like, This is what Martin Scorsese was talking about cocaine. It's like you go really hard for like a day or so, and the next thing you know, you have to make up for it the next. And that was pretty much what happened with how much pre-workout we took, because I think it's probably diluted a bit, but
Oh yeah.
even still, when you're just, I don't know, we probably had, at least bare minimum of probably like 1,500 milligrams of caffeine, but probably way more than that. Probably like 2,000, like some god awful number you normally never would have had.
Still drive like getting until we got to like over the grapevine, dude. Like my body was just like fired up. It made it easy to drive back home though because I don't think I've ever driven back that whole way and been fine. Like, but I remember like getting home and be like, cool, I'm wide awake.
Yeah, it took me forever to fall asleep too. Yeah, it was like one of those ones. We probably should have just got a workout in and just really burned off some of that caffeine.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have just popped back by Iron Addicts.
Exactly. It'd be like, hey, believe me, we really need this right now.
But no, that was really cool. I gotta say, I actually today I tried the White Rabbit, the Kratom energy drink. Have you tried that one?
That one's still sitting in my fridge, and I actually thought about trying it today because I'm like, that'd be like a Saturday one because that seemed like an experimental drink. It was half energy drink, half kratom, and I remember that
So
there was the kratom dude who gave us like the world's longest speech on kratom and its benefits and why he likes it and how he now runs instead of 15 minutes he runs for 2 hours and I mean, nobody else was in his like line, so he had us in like the tractor pull, and and then he kept being like, "This supplement's like it's like $50 right here for this little vial," I mean, and stuff like that. We don't sell them, but I'll give you
yeah,
one. Oh, okay. Why are you telling us the price and all that stuff and stuff? And then it's weird because like their price like we put them in gummies, we put them in energy drinks and so on like that. But let's be honest, you're not gonna get anything out of that. That's just there because if you don't like the flavor. Because kratom's not that great of a flavor, so we mix it with that. But pretty much if you're a pussy, drink one of these things. That was like what he was getting at. Like I don't know why you would. You guys look like you wouldn't be doing something like that. You look like real men. Here, take the stuff. Here, take the cap off.
dude. So I'll tell you, I had the White Rabbit one today, and like, no, I was like exhausted today. Like I was so tired. I stayed up way too late. Which not the end of the world. But like I didn't get much sleep. And so like the whole day I'm sitting there just like I'm fucking tired. I'm fucking tired. I'm fucking tired. So I came back from it was right before I took my lunch, so like an hour before I drank that White Rabbit Kratom energy drink. I was like, cool, I'll try this one while I'm at work. Like mind you, I've never tried Kratom. Dude, it was weird. I didn't like it. Like I didn't like the effects. And then I couldn't help but think like, yeah, maybe take this on a day that I'm not working and not like just dead to the world.
Yeah, because of course, like the way the dude explained that is that like it's sort of like a pain reliever. If you take a little bit, you can get that like light pain relief, like if you're at a gym, so you can go longer. He's like, if you take too much, you'll be all just out of it, and so on
Yeah,
like that. And I remember because like I think I drank the one kratom that like we got from that dude's booth, just like in the drink, and I remember I was like, oh, the flavor's kind of weird, and I
that
literally had a
sucks.
I had a hard time finishing it. Like it was one of those like I'm mostly one of those people like I've always been like I finish any drink, you know what I mean? Like no matter what. But that one was like, oh man, this is tough. I do also think that we were also like or like artificially flavored overload from all those things too because I was kind of sick from all that. It was almost like Halloween and you just had like way too much candy or something like that, but instead you had way too much artificial like chemical sweeteners.
Dude, I don't know if I told you this, but so the day after we got back, it was Sunday, and I got to the gym. I decided like, man, I don't got anything to do, so I went to the gym and I got a good back workout in. But I remember I took one of the packets of the Chaos Farm, and I did not look at the at anything on the back. So I just took it and was like, yeah, I'm cool to go, good to go. I get to the gym and I'm on the treadmill and I'm just like, holy shit, I'm fired up. Like I feel great. By the time I'm done with the treadmill, like the heart's pounding a little bit heavier than it probably should. And I'm just like, all right, well. And then I really had a great workout, like a really killer back workout. And then I remember I got home, I was like, this was fucking good. Like, and I looked at the back, I was like, oh, yep, it's 350 milligrams. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's a lot right there. Yeah, I saw that on the jar and I was like, okay, that's a half scooper then, because that's pretty much what I do. Is like if they're like over 300 or whatever, it's like half scooper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably do not need to be taking that much at one sitting. You know,
Well, dude, I tried. I had. I can't. I'm nervous to try a full scoop, but I got that Chaos and Pain that's 450 milligrams, and I've only done half scoops, maybe a little bit more than half, but like I'm nervous to like do a full scoop because I've never tried a 450 milligram caffeine. That just seems too much.
Yeah, I feel like even 300 in one kind of go is still like, it's not saying you couldn't, but like, I hate to start saying those are the kind that you almost need to do the thing where like if you take that, is sort of sip on it. Drink part of it like beforehand. Drink a little bit more while you're working out. Like spread it out just a little bit so you're not just like, let's just do 450 at once.
Dude, well, I remember you for a while, like when I was, and I was a lot leaner too back then when I was at like 240, 250. But I remember getting the sidewalk cracker and the
Yeah, buddy.
shit. Yeah,
Ronnie
buddy.
Coleman's.
Yeah, buddy. I just remember being like, I don't remember which one was stronger. I know that I think we talked about that. I think the Ronnie Coleman was stronger,
I think so
but
too, because there's also the Hyphy Bud by Cali Muscle. They're all like in the same category of intenseness.
dude, I talked about so CT Fletcher did a call when he let people call in when he had his co-host, I forget his name with him. And
Parker
I
Wright.
brought that up like, yeah, I was like, hey, like, how is the new sidewalk cracker compared to the original? And he goes, well, we had to tone it down for so it can't have certain things. And I didn't ask what I should have, but
I always want
um
to know what that is
me too.
because it doesn't
But
exist anymore in pre workouts.
oh no. But I was like, okay. And he's just like, but it is still extremely strong. If you have any kind of heart issues whatsoever, do not drink this. I was like, well, that's a way to sell it.
You know what? You know what it might be is okay. Maybe whatever the heck was in those like a couple pre workouts back in that time period, which I guess was about close to a decade ago by now. Weird to think of it, but maybe that's the reason why the caffeine levels have gone up so high because that's the one legal ingredient that you can just maximize.
Mhm.
So it's probably a lot easier just be like put more caffeine in there instead. Because I almost want to say that the Yeah Buddy, I don't even think that was 300 milligrams yet. I could be wrong. It might have been, but
I honestly, if I remember, I think the Yeah Buddy was only 325, but I think that's what tripped me out about was being like, this isn't as strong of caffeine, but I feel like just like fired up with it. Dude, I don't know if I ever told you. So I was dating this girl for a while who lived in Groveland. And I remember is when I had the Yeah Buddy. But I remember I got up at like 4 because I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym. And she's like, okay, I'm just gonna drive home to Groveland at 4 in the morning, which is like an hour for people listening who don't know. That's like an hour from where I lived at.
mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay. She goes, oh yeah, but Starbucks isn't open yet. So I made the joke that, well, hey, I got some pre-workout,
Yeah.
try it out. And so she's like, oh yeah. And I told her, I was like, hey, just take like a half a scoop. And she goes, oh, I'll be fine. I drink a lot of coffee. And I told her, I said, this is different. Trust me. Take a half a scoop. And I even showed her the back of the thing. I said, hey, look, like a half a scoop is still like 3 Red Bulls or whatever it was. It's like 6 cups of coffee. Like, dude, trust me on this. She didn't listen. And I was like, I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so I'm sitting there. I get to the gym. I'm on the treadmill. She calls me and goes, I think I'm having an allergic reaction to this and I'm scared. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? She's like, well, my face is tingling. I'm all itchy. Like my hands are shaking. I was like,
Well, that's
yeah.
just the niacin.
I was like, you just had a lot, a lot of pre-workout that
Yeah.
you're not used to. It's different.
Well, I remember the very first time trying the Yeah Buddy when it came out, and it was one of those ones like I felt like I was not going to get this experience again. Maybe unless you went off of it for like a while and then came back on. But I remember I had the greatest workout. I was so raged and so on like that. It was fantastic. Then I went to the movie theaters, and I remember it was like I just went by myself because I was just killing time, and I was just in the theater like, yeah, this is gonna be great. And then I went got something to eat, and then I was still so pumped up. I went to work out again because I like it felt like it was just there. It was like 8 hours, like it kicked on for.
In hindsight, some of those pre-workouts probably weren't great for us back then, especially because who knows what was in them compared to now because they weren't as regulated. But I remember sitting at work one time, like it was a slower day when I worked at AT&T, and T, and I'm sitting there and just like I hadn't worked out for like 4 hours at this point. Like I'm well into the day, and I feel my heart just going like, and I'm just like, fuck, like, and I'm just being quiet. So I'm just like, am I gonna and, like, mind you, at this time, this was literally like 2 weeks after my dad had a heart attack. So like in my head, I'm just like, am I having a heart attack? Oh my god, am I gonna die? Is this it right now? I'm just gonna fall over and die. And I was like, oh gosh, that was a
He just
Yeah.
hopped up on pre-workout. Well, that was like in like the 2000s when they used to have the diet pills. That was the other one that was like the other super intense one, and God knows what they had in those back then because it was clearly not in them later in life. And I remember my buddy Kyle Fountain, Pizza Boys represent, but he had these ones called Hot Rocks, which ironically has been his email name ever since.
Mhm.
And he would just like pop those just freely and just get all wired off of them and so on like that. And he gave one to like a buddy Joe that we had, and he just went home. He's like, dude. I went home, Kyle. I was laying in bed. My heart was beating. I was just staring at the ceiling like, I'm going to die. This is it. There's no more past this point.
Dude, all those diet pills back in the day, man, those were, and I'm sure they still exist, but like, I don't, I think I told you this before, but dude, like, I remember being like 18 or 19 and just be like convinced that I was going to get into pro wrestling and be like, oh, I got to get fucking lean. I got to get big. I got to eat jack, but like, I got to lean weights. I'm going to eat all these. So I was eating all these, like, all this heavy protein. And then also taking those, they were Stacker 2s, but I took Stacker 2 because WWE was sponsored by them. So like, oh yeah, it's safe. It's
Yeah.
WWE's talking about them. So I'm
Yeah,
like
that's
sitting there
probably what
getting,
Vince McMahon's taking, right?
dude, in hindsight, like I have no idea the stuff I was putting in my body at that point because I was so uneducated on this. All I know is I'm definitely taking pre-workout. It was in a red jar, remember that? I'm taking a pre-workout. I'm taking diet pills. I'm loading up with just like 6 eggs a day and protein, a lot of milk, and I'm just like, in hindsight, that's so counterproductive. But
Well, it's weird because it's like that's the problem. I remember being like when you kind of first started working out and so on like that. You're almost confused by like three different paradigms. Like I want to gain muscle and get bigger, but then I want to diet and get lean, and then there's also the third one's like, but I want to still eat healthy, and like really those all almost contradict each other. Like they kind of like you by focusing on all three of those at the same time, it's like one meal you'll be eating this like salad thing, and that's what you got to kind of have, though it's probably not helping you out as much as you think, and then another time you're like, okay, I'm loading up on my protein and everything like that. But then I got to make sure that if I'm eating healthy, I'm getting wheat bread and all these things here. And then you're so clustered in your thing that it's one of those ones like, if you just make it simpler, just be like, no, just make it really simple. You know what I mean? Like pick two things and just kind of stick with that. If you get bored of that, rotate those two things, stick with that for a while.
time period, then like you were doing it again when I started leaning out, but like I remember I would just go and buy cans and cans and cans and cans of tuna fish, and
Hmm.
I'd like drain them out and I'd put them into like one of the big mixing bowls, throw a little bit of mayonnaise in it just to keep it all like mixed up and stuff, and I'd be like, great, now I'm just gonna eat just tuna fish for like a week, like but a lot of it, like I remember like one meal was like typically like 4 cans of tuna fish.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot in one sitting. I can mostly eat about two in one sitting, but yeah, four would be quite a bit.
I'm twice your
Well,
size.
yeah. I guess it makes total sense now. You're
Science.
gonna need you're gonna need those extra calories and so on. Even though tuna has like absolutely no calories, it's really weird. Like each
Yeah.
can's like, like well, if they're the smaller cans, so they're like 110 calories or something like goofy. It's like, I
And
always like the.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, speaking of tuna though, it's like the one that I've kind of been into for a while is like it's like the old like 1950s, like probably even 40s, like bodybuilder one, but is sounds weird, but it's tuna and cottage cheese together.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't sound like that to be the most appetizing thing, but it actually mixes quite well. And it's like that one where you got your protein, and of course the cottage cheese has its protein in it too, and it's got the nice fat, but you have literally no carbs. So if you want to go that style, it's a good combo right there.
Yeah, and I've been whipping up together, like I'm getting ready because like, well, it's 5 weeks away, but before I start cutting again. But I was realizing I was like, dude, it's not expensive to eat clean. Like that was always my excuse, like, oh, it's so expensive. It's not. You just
Yeah.
have to prep, which sucks. But and I also want to just take a moment to say, like, I can't prove that it's directly related, but I was kind of stuck at 295 on my bench until I grew the mustache back in. And
Yeah,
2 weeks later, I'm at 315.
yeah,
So
I do think the mustache at least adds about an extra 15% more power to life. Everything in life too.
science.
Yeah, it is, But no, I like that you touched on like the price of eating clean and everything like that, because that's always that one you hear that like people are like, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy, or I hear that same thing too, because whenever I tell people like, oh, I do like the carnivore diet, and they go, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, actually, it's cheaper because I'm only buying one thing. Just imagine going to the store and everything else you were going to buy, you don't get. You don't buy those extra vegetables. You don't buy that extra fruit. You don't buy that bread. You don't buy those chips. You don't buy any drinks. You don't buy any of that stuff. You just go and go, well, there's a couple pounds of meat right there. Cool. $15. That's my daily meal, right? Or that's what I'll eat in like maybe 2 or 3 meals. That's all I need. Maybe throw some eggs in there, as long as there's not some stupid California bird flu going on. I'm waiting for that to end because, boy,
Yeah.
is it making it hard to get eggs. Because that was always my favorite, steak and eggs. If I can have steak and eggs of some kind, that's like the perfect 1-2 punch combo.
Well, dude, I was showing somebody once, and I don't think she believed me, but I was like, she was asking me like a little bit of like how much I eat, and I was like, I eat a lot of ground beef. And she goes, "What?" Like I was like, "Yeah, that's like all that's in my freezer." And so I did like one of those like video call video texts you can do on Facebook, and I was like, "Yeah, there's like 15 or I think it was like 15 or 20 pounds of ground beef in the freeze. Like it's a lot of ground beef. It's like
Well, yeah, did you just get like the big old 5-pounder like rolls?
no, I go to Swingles because then
Oh,
it's
that
like I
that's a
get the
good.
extra lean ground beef for 4.29 a pound.
Yeah, and that meat. Everything there at Schwingles is great in Jackson.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I know that's the way. We just need to do a run out there together and so on like that. Just go pick up meat and all that good stuff.
Get more meat and just be like protein.
Yeah, that's literally. I'm literally gonna phase myself out. I'm like, you know what? The carbs do work for getting a little bit of exercise. They do kind of help get the calorie intake in there and so on. But I don't feel nearly as good. I'm just gonna say that, like for myself, that's not for everybody. I know certain people can handle carbs a little bit better, but I've kind of learned that I think I function better and I feel better when I'm on generally high protein, a little bit of vegetables. And I always call it like 90% kind of carnivore. You leave a 10% room because you never know. You're going to go to somebody's house and they might have, they might be cookies. You don't want to be rude for one, be like, sorry, I just eat the meat. I feel you leave a little bit of space in there for that. But if you eat predominantly, like at least like, the majority of the meals you have out of the day is, kind of all meat.
Mhm.
Especially if I get red meat in too.
Yeah, I think that'd be like more. No, but I think that would be like almost as annoying as like, and I said almost as annoying as like the vegans who are just like, oh yeah, but I'll glad they come over for dinner and let you make everything. They're like, oh, I can't eat any of that. I'm a vegan.
Yeah. Or they go even deeper where they pull that thing, be like, um, that stove touched meat. My tofu dog cannot touch the same,
I have to
literally
go
same
now.
intentions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You get those people. It's like, oh, jeez. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's no such thing as a carnivore that's been like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did that spinach just touch my steak? Toss it out. No,
Dude, that's the thing.
said no carnivore person, unless they're maybe mentally disturbed.
I think that's the thing. I'm gonna largely go mostly carnivore when I lean out, but there's fruits that I don't want to give up. Honestly, like I don't want to give up bananas or blueberries.
Well,
So
and the key thing with that is if you eat any of those carbohydrates in the morning, you won't really have any issue with it because that's the one thing is your body will digest carbs really easily throughout the morning. But by about noon, if you can just kind of cut that from there, then just go straight carnivore past that point, that would be a good like balanced approach to it.
yeah,
Because really, it's like I
yeah,
don't think fruits and vegetables. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I still enjoy. I'm not, I'm not the biggest fruit fan. I'm just never the biggest sweets person. Every once in a while I do, but like I do like vegetables. But I've just kind of come to the conclusion that I don't need them as much as I once thought I did. Because I used to be that person where I felt like if I don't get every color under the sun, like in one day, it's like it's not a complete meal. You know what I mean? I need the purples, I need the orange, I need the reds, the greens, and it just kind of drove you wild. And then you just kind of realize that in a weird way, vegetables actually kind of make you fat. It sounds strange. It's the most like bizarre thing, but like you could digest some of them, but then if you have too many of them, then you start to get the weird bloating and all kinds of stuff like that. Where the upside is the carnivore diet it is the one that like you could literally get as lean as fuck and still feel strong, and you're technically eating very simple, and it's almost like you don't have to do any extra effort into it. It's like it will just happen.
I'm gonna really pick your brain about that when I get into it. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a challenge too because I've never really gone carnivore. But the only thing is, I just gotta throw it out there that if I go somewhere and they offer me a maple bar, I'm not turning down the maple bar.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I call it like the carnivore, like 90%. You could even push it back to 80% if you really want to, and just kind of leave a little bit of a free window for some other stuff. Because yeah, if somebody, as I said, if you go to somebody's house and they're cooking something that's like okay, they make you a sandwich. You don't want to be that person to be like, well, just take the bread off. That just seems like you're wasting food. Because that's the other thing. I have that weird notion where I hate wasting food though too. So it's like I feel
Yeah.
like even if I know my body doesn't really need it, I'll still eat it anyways because I don't want to go to waste because that would bother me. But
Just
the
did. If
key.
somebody offered me a donut and I said no, it'd be rude because there's starving kids in Uganda that would love to have that donut.
Yeah, so you know what? You just put some bacon in between the donut there, and it will outweigh all the dough and all that stuff. But yeah,
Science.
the hardest part of the carnivore one, and this is like when I remember I initially tried it like many years ago, was that like it's great if you're at home because you can always cook your own meat and so on like that. But it's like, what do you do when you leave the house? That was always the hard questioning part that I had with it. And then once you kind of learn like the real secret is the fact that like you can always get burger patties at a lot of like the burger stand restaurants, and they're like next to nothing. Like they're pretty much like 20 cents more than they would cost you in stores to make it, unless you just happen to hit a nice sale or something like that. And they make it for you, they clean up, and it's right there. And just and a lot of those, I hate to sort of say it sounds weird, but like you could go to almost fast food restaurants because they've kind of come a little bit of a long way since like the 90s, like when we were kids and so on like that, and it was made of God knows what. But like you go to In-N-Out Burger if you're in California area, and they got really good patties, and they're like only like $2 a piece. So you end up once again you're saving money because all I'm getting is like 4 patties, maybe sometimes 6, and that's still cheaper than somebody's burger combo. Like I've just got to say that. You know what I mean? If they get a burger, fries, and like a drink, they've already spent more than I have, and I now have like literally like 4 times as much protein.
They put on that girl's face when we were at In-N-Out in Merced, I think it was. And like I was just like, hey, I'm gonna get are you I said I was gonna get 6 patties, and she goes, oh, okay. And like it's like just that? And I was like, yep, just that. And then I
Yeah,
got cheese too.
you got
And
cheese,
then
and I got mine of no cheese. She's like, so no bun. Do
no
you want
nothing.
lettuce? No, I don't want the lettuce. I just want the meat.
Get that green shit out of here, okay? I just want the meat.
Yeah, I don't know the lettuce wrap. I just want the meat. Do you need a knife? I don't need a knife. I'm gonna eat these like popsicles.
Yeah. Dude, I inhaled. I was so hungry that I inhaled that.
Dude,
Just had
those ones were
Chipotle.
good. That's probably because we're also just hopped up to all can be too.
Dude, and what's crazy is I thought about that. I was like, we just had Chipotle like 2 hours before we had a big old bowl, and I'm like, yep, ready for some morning out now.
Yeah, and then like an hour before that, we had that taco truck across from the convention center. Just
And
like
that was
eat
good
fest.
tacos.
Yeah, those are really good. Those are solid. And that's what I mean. You leave that 10% of room in there so you can get a couple tacos here and there or something like that. And I just call those flavor meals. You got to throw a
Yeah.
flavor meal every once in a while in there. But no, the burger patties is the way to go. Like, and my favorite go-to restaurants is I go to the Habit. I like In-N-Out if I'm out of the area. And then the one that sounds strange but is actually another really dialed in one is actually McDonald's. You feel like you're doing something wrong by going to McDonald's, or at least I know I do. Like my whole life, it felt like as a kid, it's like you don't go to McDonald's. That's where like the dangerous food's at. You know what I mean? But realistically, I think ever since that Supersize movie came out, like McDonald's really turned that ship around, and now they're kind of actually one of the, it sounds weird. It sounds so strange to say, but they're actually one of the healthier fast food restaurants. As long as you're just getting the burger patties, I guess. But I think their burgers, all 3 of those restaurants have all beef patties. They don't have anything mixed into them.
I honestly think I only go to McDonald's once a year to get a Shamrock Shake.
That's it.
That's it. I don't know, man. McDonald's has never hit for me. Like on and I
No.
think like it just wasn't the same. Like I think Burger King's better.
Yeah.
RIP because it's not in Angels Camp or Sonora anymore.
They're,
But
they're,
like
they're
I
they're not a
liked
whole lot
Burger
of
King.
places anymore.
No, when I lived in Roanoke Park, dude, I can't tell you, I was so fucking pumped when I saw there was a Burger King like 4 minutes from my house. But then, of course, there was an In-N-Out only 2 minutes further, and I was like, I'm never gonna eat that Burger King.
Yeah, because the In-N-Out's the best choice if that is kind of. I think like Five Guys would probably be pretty good too. I technically never ate there before, but I know it's like the alternative In-N-Out in a sense. But
Yeah.
and once again, all those restaurants pretty much have, generally. I mean, once again, yeah, if you can cook stuff yourself, you know 100% what's going into it, yada yada yada. But if you're on the go, those places all serve the need. Like you could literally be on a trip and you could just hit up the burger joints like that, and then at least especially even if you're gonna go somewhere and there's like people are making stuff something like that. Like a lot of times it'll be like, I'll just go load up on 6 patties, and at least I know I'm kind of filled and I got my protein needs in. So then if I gotta go eat anywhere else, I don't just go to town on it. Because sometimes that's the worst thing is if you get too hungry and the next thing you know you eat a crap ton of something and then you're like, now I don't feel too good.
Well, dude, but it was like at Iron Wars. I was I was starving, and then they're like, "Here's the hot dog stand." I was like, "Fuck yeah, there
Yeah,
is."
I don't care. Give us 2 hot dogs. Yeah, every once in a while you're like, oh, those are pretty good hot dogs though, actually. But
They were, and I like how that hot dog stand was hit up by like everybody because you can tell everybody had the same idea. Like Kong was out there, James. I was like, "Oh yeah, everybody wants his hot dogs." And then when we went to, I think it was IHOP afterwards. Was it Denny's?
no, we went to IHOP on our way back because it was like the only thing really open in like Burbank. Probably something, but that's all we saw.
Dude, I hadn't been to an IHOP in years. That hit the spot.
That was a pretty darn dialed in IHOP too.
Hmm.
They're kind of like Denny's. They can come in so many different variations, but that one was quite nice. And yeah, we had a big old breakfast platter and so on like that. You got the bacon, the ham, the eggs, the sausage, all that good stuff. The pancakes too, just for fun.
Why not get two snickerdoodle pancakes on top of it? We're going to the Fit
Exactly.
Expo tomorrow. It's healthy.
Yeah, so we're gonna get really hopped up anyway, so it's okay. But yeah,
Well,
no, it was overall just fantastic trip. Felt like learned a lot of great tips and secrets just in just straight up lifting and so on like that. And yeah, then just the Fit Expo itself is just so cool. Just all the free swag, meeting all kinds of people there too. And yeah, just having fun. Like there's another one that they do because they do. I think there's 3 of those Fit Expos. There's one in San Diego, one in Los Angeles, and then there's one in San Jose. So I think we should hit up that San Jose one next.
yeah, I'm all in, man. I think they said it was in June, if I remember right. So I'm
I
down for
think I think
that.
so. Yeah, because I've seen it for like 10 plus years. I've looked at it and been like, man, I should go to this. I should go to this, and then you just kind of somehow never have. But it's like, no, no, no. Let's now. It's like, yes, definitely go.
I can't lie. I think one of the tricks might be a good trick to like get like if we got there like an hour earlier, like, and that was my fault because I wanted those burritos. But like if we go and get
Yes.
like roll through, get every single sample once, and then just go right back do it twice, dude. You can load up
Put
with a
on a
lot of
different
pretty quickly.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, do one of those things there, or yeah, you just don't get stuck by. There's some of those ones where there was like the bendy bar section where they had like the German ladies that really get like right up at you and just be like, oh, here we are. She's trying to like, no, stretch forward, stretch, push farther. Like, okay, where's the free stuff?
Yeah. Well, dude, I like how we kept giving everybody fake email address, and I like how so many of those people were like, "Oh yeah, you get all the samples you want. You just gotta follow us on Instagram." I'm like, yeah, I did. I followed you. Oh, okay, cool. They're not gonna check every single person.
Yeah, they were so gold. If it was at Comic Con, they would have grabbed your phone, forcefully made you follow them, and then handed it back.
Hmm. But dude, that it was fun. We gotta do it again for sure.
Yeah, no, it was overall good. It pumped me up for working out. Literally as I've come back, and once my shoulder, because I had that weird shoulder issue when I was going down there, so it's kind of like that. But since that's kind of been kind of good, and just with some of those like lifting kind of, I guess even just like motivation, just tips and all that stuff, just watching everybody like. I just remember I went up to the pull-up rack and I was just like, yeah, throw a 45-pound on there, bust out 10 reps with it. Like, felt good. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then my gym's also they opened up a whole new corridor, so it's really kind of thinned the herd by putting in twice as many dumbbells, bunch of extra machines, some new apparatuses and extra squat bars. So it's been pretty sweet.
Hey man, one thing I was thinking, and I'm gonna throw you a curveball, because I don't know how this stuff works. I'm gonna hijack for a sec, but I think that we should like now live for whoever's watching this to see, make a goal of ours for the end of this year to try to hit.
Yeah,
Like just
that's
make up some one of our goals. What's the goal you got?
at the moment right now, I'm going to tell you how my workout's kind of going down, and then this will probably get me towards what I think my goal would be. Is I've kind of simplified my workouts back to what I call sort of the mixed match of like the power lifts, those core exercises, squat, bench, deadlift, and I'd say I throw row in there too. And then my calisthenics of dips, pull ups, and then some form of overhead press. I don't care what it is. It could be anything from barbell to dumbbell to kettlebells to handstands, anything of that nature. So I've been doing that, and I've been doing the dips and pull ups with weighted variations too. Getting back into muscle ups as well, because those became a little bit tough when I threw on like an extra 50 pounds. It's like, oh, this is going to be a little bit more of a struggle to get myself up and over the bar now. So my goal is to kind of get those back into pretty regular form. And then realistically, next year for Iron Wars, I do want to 100% do the strict curl. So I think the goal is to make at least like over 100-pound curl comfortable. That's how I like to say it. Like we're like, and what I call comfortable is that you can do it for reps. It's not like, oh, I got it twice. I mean, no. I feel like I want to at least be, you could pick the bar up and you could do 6 reps, put it down, pick it up, do 6 reps again, put it down. Like I call that kind of like comfortable, 6 to 10 reps area. And you're just sort of used to it. So that means you can technically lift more, but you're practicing at a little bit lighter level. And if I could do that for just like even like 125 pounds and get kind of comfortable with that, I feel like I could go down there and do some nice reps. And I know I could lift about that for like a single rep if I really need to. So yeah, it's one of those ones where I think that's probably be my goal. As I said, that, and I'd like to get my muscle ups back again, just sticking at a higher weight, but then being able to do more of those. So
Mine is I do want to get to 405 on the bench, at least. I'm going to shoot for 455 as the stretch, but I think I can hit 405. It's
I think so.
what's 90 more pounds?
Exactly.
So we're shooting for 405 at least as a PR, and when we do Rep King, I want to be able to do 225 25 times.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal to go for too, because I think that's the one that, yeah, if you could just start once again doing the 225 and just getting very comfortable with it, where just 225 is just a normal weight to throw on. It's like I could throw 225 on any day of the week, and I could at least bust out some reps on it. Get comfortable where like 10 is not a problem with 225. I think that'd be a good place to be at.
I agree. It's gonna be a good
If,
time.
if I could get myself up to 225 again, I think that would be just a nice place to be. That's always the one. Like I always go like my bench will be like, okay, it's climbing back up, and then it'll be like, you got like a little bit of a shoulder injury. Well, there goes the bench again. Okay, dumbbells are climbing back up. 75 pounds aren't that big of a deal, and then like let's try bench again. Here it goes, and it always goes in waves. But I would like
Let's
to
get
have
to
mine
it.
at 225 at least, and be able to comfortably press that quite a bit of times. Because a lot of times I
I
feel
think
like
we can make that happen.
as long as you could throw around your own body weight pretty darn well, I feel like that's kind of like a good place to be at.
Yeah, yeah, and this is the first time in my life that I've attempted to, but been able to bench press more than I weigh. So
Yeah, see, and that's cool. Is once you're over what you weigh, that was kind of like my row. It was like my pull ups started going down, but my bar rows were going up. I was like, well, I can do like 195 for like 10 reps on like the barbell rows, but now my pull-ups are kind of like I was having a hard time doing 5 of them.
yeah,
so it was like a weird trade-off, and I was like, well, wait a second, I would rather have pull-ups be good, and don't get me wrong, I love barbell rows, but I don't know why this one needs to be better than pull-ups.
dude, we got a Smith machine row, the row machine. I can do the whole stack on that now, which makes me feel pretty good.
It's good. Like once you get that point where like you could totally just max out a stack, and it's just like no worries there. I've totally finished this thing off. And then you gotta get kind of creative, I guess, with it. And then you just get some real high reps in or something like that, or
Yeah,
there's many ways to maximize light poundages and so on. It's kind of that thing like if you go to like a hotel gym, like the hotel we were at when we were down in Burbank area, and whatnot. It was the funniest choice of stuff that they had in there because they had you had your cardio equipment, that makes sense. You had a bike, you had a treadmill, an elliptical, whatever. But then it's like they're like, okay, we have space for one thing. What should we get? And it's like, mostly I always feel if you have space for one thing, just get a dumbbell rack that goes to 50. A dumbbell rack that goes to 50 and an adjustable bench. You could literally do everything with that. That's a whole gym right there. And even if you can normally lift more than 50, we'll just start doing more reps. It's as simple as that. But no, they had like a lap pull down, sorta. slash like low curl cable curl.
Hmm.
It was such a strange one. So pretty much all you could really do on it for the most part. I mean, you could do lat pull-ups, I guess, if you sit on the floor. But it was just like you could do tricep press downs and cable curls with this thing. That was all it was good for. It had
And
the
let's be
cable.
honest, I'm not sitting on the floor. If I sit on the floor, it's gonna be a hard thing. I'm gonna have to need some
Yeah,
help getting up.
yeah, exactly. So it's one of those ones. I just thought that was the strangest choice of like we only got one machine and this is what you got here. You better get those guns ready, get some
Yeah.
cardio in, and get the guns worked on.
Oh, I have a time today.
But yeah, well, we'll have to do some more of the Thor's Hidden Gym podcast. Once again, I think it's just a good way to get a little bit more gym inspiration going in life and get fully motivated. And if anybody watching still has any questions for us, throw them out about working out, diets, all kinds of radical things. Yeah, how much caffeine you think we probably drank, like going through those lines at the expo? Because ungodly amount probably. But
Problem
well worth
is
it.
we stand the douchey gym pictures. Damn
Yeah, see,
right.
yeah, exactly. Get the little comment section there and so on. But yeah, throw any of that out. But yeah, this is our little first episode, getting that gym motivation going, and hope everybody else's workouts are going strong and they're feeling good, and coming into the new year, get those goals going. Because gotta have something. If you don't have a destination for your project, how are you gonna know where to get to? And by the time you finish it, the upside is you should be like, cool, I got one goal done, and now it makes you feel like I can't wait to start another one up. You know,
Yeah, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
exactly. You know what I mean? And that makes it sound like do the Russian training. You don't go to fail, or you don't go to failure when you train Russian style. But
Yeah,
that's
speaking
a
of
whole
Russian,
that's a whole other different topic though. It's like the difference between like hardcore training where it's like no you take everything to failure, to Russian training where it's like no you do a science equation first, then lift, then go back to the science equation, and you never exhaust yourself, but you're gonna get way stronger.
Mhm.
But
Well, speaking of Russian, I'm gonna feel like Drago tomorrow morning. Leave it
there
at
you
that.
go. That's a good way to go. So yeah, you got that. You can go get a hardcore lift in, then you can watch the Super Bowl and get some good snacks and goodies because why not? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a rest weekend for me, dude.
That's okay though. Well, that's one of those ones like you get a big old pizza. I kid you not, you always have like the best workout the next day.
I'm
Always.
going to brunch tomorrow at Flappy's, so I'll probably get some like a breakfast pizza or the creme brulee French toast.
There you go. That's me. You get a solid workout in and go from there.
Yeah, it's bulking season.
Yeah, exactly. Keep that going. But till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes,
I'm Buddy.
and we'll see you some other time.